Industrial Development Board meeting for Friday, July 8th. So, roll call. I guess you're going to substitute for Diane.
Yes, I'm substituting for Diane today. Roll call. Everybody's here except for Ed Urbanik.
Okay.
Can I just say, excuse me, I have another meeting at 9. That's why I'm not there, so I can do this one and get to that one. So if I scoot out, okay. I just want you to know. I'll at about 5 to 9, I'll scoot out.
We have a quorum, and I think today's going to be a summer meeting. We'll be out of here pretty quickly today.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move to approval of the previous board meeting minutes. Moved by John, second by Skip. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. We'll move to the financials. Michael.
Going through financials, current cash position for the OEDA account is at $17,352.90. Should be page number 2. As I'm looking at. Which if you look at year over year change in current assets, about $500,000 difference. That is a lot of it's Western New York Energy's first pilot program came off the books, so that's no longer lumped into there. Same thing with the liabilities on that. You'll see that transition as well. So those are the big changes on that. We'll be getting the county check, I believe, on the 18th of this month, so that will help our cash flow through the rest of July. We're still waiting on Runner land sale to go through. There's been some delays with the title search. So as far as all parties involved are on the same page getting it done. It's the one piece we're missing right now. So really we're at the mercy of them. But that's still expected to happen, still expected to go through. That'd be 30,000 IDA, 30,000 land rest. With that,
so are we situated for July and August cash wise, do you think?
July and August, July, yes. August, we have our workshop on July 27th with the county to talk about loan package. I'll be going. John also will be going. We're presenting to the legislative group on that loan. And then hypothetically speaking, if that goes through and approved, it would be in August 1st when the check would be cut for that, and we'd have cash funds available thereafter. So August at that point, moving forward, we would be fine.
Just one side note to that, we're going to very judiciously spend that money.
Correct. We're going to have checks and balances of where it's going, and it's almost going to be planned out the next 18 months of where it's going, how it's going, and very, unnecessary spending unless it falls in line with our objectives of what we originally had slated it for. That's not, we just have to be very frugal with that and how we do it, just with the grants and being very specific with this is for this grant, and that's it. So me and John were talking about that quite a bit, and so that will be targeted that. Next month's meeting, I will have a preliminary budget for us to go through for IDA to look at 2023, and then have some group discussion that will then tie in the loan, tie in our cash flow, tie in the projects, and have a very open dialogue of how we can figure next year, because it'll be interesting next year. It's like this year. We'll talk about that next meeting, and once I have the preliminary budget for me to look at, and we have some talking points to go through on that. That's what I have for financials.
Okay, so with that, we'll need a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll make a motion.
Seconded by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No. Motion is approved. We move on to business development. Okay.
Okay. Michael and I had a very long conversation with the developers of the West Orchard Street property site development, and they have come up with a potential layout that they worked out with VME. we have suggested that that be delayed, going to any kind of conversations with the village until August, so that we can get people. We've got some work to do with the village, and so we've got a timeline, and they're fine with that. But they have laid out the whole site, and I think there's probably some adjustments we think that should be made before there's even any initial conversations.
So what are they looking for from us?
No, they're not looking at anything from us, but I don't think it's bankable without us. I don't think anybody will bank it. There's one that I just gave to Michael, and I'll pass on to you, that's just being done in Leroy. And obviously there's incentives involved there. The village assumes there's going to be incentives. The developers think that they won't need it. We have to look at time, place, and the profile. I'm saying the bank is realistically, from everything that we've always encountered, they're going to be looking at whether this is going to cash flow. And they would only be doing an initial phase, an initial development.
What's in it for us financially?
It would have to be a pilot or sales tax abatement or mortgage tax abatement. Right now, the developers are saying, well, we don't need anything. I'm not so sure that that's the way it's going to work out. And that would also depend on what they're going to do. I think some of their ideas here are unrealistic. Michael spoke to them extensively on the phone also, but we have not brought that out. We're just trying to get the village. There's some things going on there. There's some village things that need to be in place before we go further with that conversation. Any other questions on that? And we did take, and you know what, this past month, we've taken some time with the county planning department. They've looked at, they're helping us on that as well as helping us. They've been extremely helpful. Also with the CNC project, which is that small project on Medina and East Center Street. So they came, they looked at that site, they looked at the EV sites for us. So they've done some great work. And they're right on board with everything, and we're including them in everything. BOMED has been quiet. The Bauer project in Holly, we have no update. I don't expect one until he needed to finish out his year, which is probably the end of July, before he knows where he is financially. And then we're going to have another conversation. But he has done his business plan. He's working with the small business in Niagara County. So he's staying right on top of it. He's a very, very talented individual, and hopefully we can do something here. Kelly Kabawa and I are on this regional workforce initiative. There is a significant amount of money, new money coming down to the Finger Lakes region will be included for funding of workers. Now, we've had 2 conference calls. We have another one today. I just want to make you aware that we are probably going to be we look at it differently, meaning we as an IDA in a rural county. The funding is going to be directed, unless we get some changes, to the following types of potential workforce. Those with new Americans, refugees, immigrants, LGBTQ, reentry workforce, minority workforce, and those with disabilities. We believe that the best interest of a rural county is also to have a segment of this money just for adult workers, because many of our businesses, that's what they want. They want to hire if you're going to focus it so much on this, that means the money is going to go to the urban areas. I can't believe that we are the only rural county and economic development area that's going to say this. Kelly and I have talked it through how we're going to approach this. She has fought this before, and it's been very challenging. So now that the IDAs are in it, we'll have a different conversation. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but to represent this county, we have to have funding for adult workers.
Most business leaders aren't trying to change society, they're trying to get a job done here.
You know, I just heard 2 companies this week that I think are very, very well run. They're smaller companies and they are ceasing what they're doing. And not anybody that we're working with, simply because of the workforce. So I'm saying I really, this is going to be a little bit of a hot topic. And we've decided how it's going to be approached. But there's a lot going on. You're going to be hearing a lot about it. And at the county level, you'll hear a lot about it. But our position is we're not represented in this. Rural counties are not represented. So that's going to get a little bit touchy. I'm just telling you.
Is that federal money or state money?
State money. It is state money. And they've also taken different sectors, business sectors, and allocating it to 4 different business sectors. That we can live with. We can't, I mean, we may have to live with it, but it's not in anyone's interest. I'm hoping that we're not the only one that looks at it or says something. So we'll see how that goes today.
So what's the money being used for? To train workers or to provide incentives for businesses to hire these workers?
It could be both.
Okay.
It could be both. It could be those that need skill sets of a certain type, those that need a company that requires training of a certain type, certain sectors, higher sectors of manufacturing. Not all manufacturing is included. Healthcare is included. But it's too restrictive unless you want to just say, of course, the money was applied for on behalf of the region, was applied for by Monroe County and the city of Rochester. So there's 80 of us on this. So I don't know where we're going to go, but certainly we're going to have to, we're not well served. We need a pot of this.
We need to be a squeaky wheel.
Yes.
I just sent you an email, forward an email to you. Different topic, same problem with the governor's rules about climate change and how we're going to go forward. And Ontario County passed a scathing resolution, and it lists all of how it hurts rural counties, and all basically what she did is all going to go to the metro areas.
Correct.
So the ammunition is the same. It's a different topic, but I sent that to you so you and Kelly can use that.
Yes, and as she said to me, look, I'm in a different position. Some of her funding comes from these.
But if she
But I'm
reaches to
not.
her counterpart in Ontario County, I'm sure they help. They're on the same topic.
We got a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of specifics and data to justify the position.
Well, you know, and really, we're just in the beginning of this.
Yeah.
But and I did respond. We had to respond to certain things, so we did respond, and we talked over how we were going to do that response. But we want funding. You've got to have funding for just, if somebody's going to come to work, we need to have some funding.
It's for the region. It's got to be the whole region, not segments of the region.
Correct. So it's not going to be. It's going to get difficult. But that's the way we
Started out on the sore foot.
Well, we're going to give it a good shot. Also, the CNC project, which we've had a little, I don't know if everyone was here. We laid out for CNC if they need to do a 5,000 square foot addition or a 5,000 square foot building. And we have laid something out on the parcel in the Medina Business Park behind the hotel. And we're going to be getting some pricing on that. or they may add on to their existing building on East Center Street. There's some reasons why that might not be practical or realistic, but they're going to have to weigh both.
They got room there on Center Street to add that site?
They own all the way down to the corner.
Oh.
However, there are reasons where that might not be, they have some other uses there. There might be reasons why that might not work.
Isn't that like a long rectangular section?
It is a long rectangular section, yes. And some of I think he started renovating that long building at the end. And then he found that you just can't go in and renovate some of these buildings. And then I think he had some surprises, and he's in for some significant money, just correcting some things. You need an engineer to go in beforehand. Well, that isn't what they did. So we'll see what we do, but he's very responsive. And he certainly does. He does a lot of training for Ford, for General Motors, for a lot of high-end manufacturers in Rochester and in Buffalo. We don't want to lose them to a metropolitan area, so we're doing what we can, and we spend a lot of time with them.
Couldn't Plan B be renting from Burns-Matic or from Pickle Factory too? Is that an option?
John self-finances and wants to own. His son is now coming back into the business, and he's setting this up for his son. So he won't rent, but he isn't shy about buying, and he isn't shy about financing. He expects to self-finance this. I have no room over in Burns-Matic, and there won't be. So, and that is starting to proceed. Kyle is starting work on that south parcel. So that's moving along, and he's starting his build out in his own personal build out in Niagara County. So that's, and he's looking at demolishing the buildings across the street that were once prisoner of war camp. So, and he acquired the one parcel from the county that was on the tax rolls. He acquired that at the in-rem sale. He said that was quite enlightening. So he's done everything that he said he was going to do, and now he owns well over 40 acres there. Started out with, I think, 30. So, and he's taken some properties that were off the tax rolls.
Good.
So that's about, and any questions? I mean, there's just a lot of things that aren't moving because of reasons. The hotel, that is, the grass is being done, the landscaping is being started very shortly as of last night. So that will start soon. And they're very pleased with the, the business that they have, with their reservations. They have changed managers. They're, correcting some issues that need to be corrected. And I'm waiting to get the county and the back ends to kind of clean up what needs to be cleaned up so that we can, it's been suggested to us that we have to do that before we have before we create our own wetlands, which we have done in the past. Behind, if you notice on that roadway, the road is yet to be named behind the hotel. You've got some trees and all of that that's been down for, I think about a year or so. That needs to be cleaned out. Shelby came in and helped us over on Sanderson Road, and the EV sites that we're looking at, we need to get in there and get that straightened around so that we can use that if we need to. Because Western New York Energy is looking at working along with us on a development, either on their site or off their site. So, did I?
Okay. Thank you, Gabrielle. Projects report.
So where we're standing right now, Velocity, still gathering their documents needed for their loan closing. Kevin, I'll circle back with you a little bit later. A couple questions on that were brought up from Bob yesterday, but
Is it progressing in the right direction?
we're in a stall right now, so we're trying to get it rectified a little bit and get it back moving in motion forward. So Land Rest has the funds for that first draw in hand, so we need to get the loan documents done, and so we just have to keep the ball moving forward and just stall for whatever reason. We just need to get to the bottom of it and find some solutions to make it happen. So Zambistro, Rita and Michael came in last week, signed their loan documents, and we're working on, they took their first draw. We're working on the last draw, which would be roughly just over 55,000 for the last draw on that project. And the way we've got it structured is the first month is interest only for Land Rest. The next month, depending on when the next draw hits, will either be interest only or principal and interest that we pay back on that $39,000 month. So that'll be additional money coming in from Land Rest Corporation to help some of this engineering consulting work that's happening as well. So that's where that stands. Hemlock Ridge Solar had their public hearing last week as well. Only a handful of people showed up for commentary. Neil, a project manager on it, stopped in my office as well, talked to me what he thinks and envisions happening. He expected a low turnout, and that's what happened for commentary. They have 10 days after that to respond to any comments or questions and put it out for the public, and then they'll move on to the next steps. He's also going to work on a rough draft application for the IDA for incentives to give us some numbers to start working with, start what we need to start thinking about. And then it'll start giving me opportunity to start thinking about how we want to approach costs associated with them moving forward to do the project, such as with the Heritage Wind project. We outsourced to do a cost benefit analysis because there were so many parcels involved. This will give us an opportunity to potentially have a conversation with Hemlock and say, hey, we need to do a CBA. We'd like you to pay for it since it's to benefit you.
Right.
And we'll get the bids out and we'll go that route and get them to pay for that cost benefit analysis that we need to move forward with that. But we're still a long ways from that. But the fact that Neil's can get some rough numbers to work with to see what we're looking at for full project cost and, you know, what sales tax abatement, what mortgage reporting tax would look like, a pilot would look like. Then we can start talking with the board of how we want to structure everything. And then what he thinks is earliest construction date would be 2024, late 2024, early 2025 for construction. So it's hypothetically what they're thinking right now on that, but you know, more to come as we start to progress forward with them on that. That's really what I have for projects.
Unless there's any further discussion, we'll move to facilities and site.
Yeah, so BME came out a week or two ago. We started looking at some of the wetland areas that are in and around Pride Pack. We have some DEC reporting to fulfill as part of when we built the road over by the west end of Pride Pack. We had to move the one wetland to a different area. Part of that is there's a 5-year trailing phase where we can't touch that wetland and do anything to it. It has to stay there, be untouched, and let it do its thing. And then spray with herbicide and stuff to kill some of the stuff around it. So we walked that with Martin to show us where and what we need to do. So we're working on getting some signage put up so there's no more mowing. in the back area. So we were just, I think we mowed in about 20 feet. So we had to put some signage so it would not be mowed past 10 feet in. So that starts to grow back and fill in. And then there's some other opportunities for us to cut down some mowing areas around there to make it clean up a little bit nicer on that west end entrance of Pine Path. So other than that, that's really what I have for facility sites.
Okay. Diane's absence, the map and LDC report will be handled by Michael.
Yep. So there's 10 parties interested in the next the class this fall for the MAPS program. The grant application for the 300,000 was submitted on June 27th. So that's progressing forward. I know there's been some interest so far with that. People interested in taking the MAP class prior of trying to gain access to some of the grant money for some of their startup businesses or existing businesses. The HUD unrestricted accounts, it's at $9,318.13, and then the money market account is at $84,923.30. Great turnout at the graduation. Good article that was put in the hub. A lot of good feedback of what businesses have coming into the area and are already existing. So that article is behind the back of the packet as well.
As far as the loan payments, is that something that you cover too?
Yes. Yeah, so she told me everything was current as of what she was working off of prior, so we were in good shape for loans. So.
Legal, anything to report, Kevin?
Nothing for the board this morning.
Okay. Marketing?
Yeah, so I received a survey from ESD last week and then completed it and submitted it. What they're doing right now is gathering intel, this Fast New York program that's coming out for shovel-ready sites that want further enhancements or further help to become shovel-ready sites in New York City. The survey came out, and at this time they're just doing some fact gathering of who's interested, how big are the sites, what are they looking at, where's some preliminary costs they're looking at, what type of work, is it power, is it gas, electric, water, sewage, trying to see based on our responses where a lot of the allocation is expected to go is $200 million. So I submitted everything I could think of under the sun that we would want potentially in Medina Business Park, to power enhancements, to extending our infrastructure just to go further into Medina Business Park, roadway extensions into the park, road cuts into the Kepler site, borings to be done on Kepler. Basically a laundry list of things that we've been adding up to the list of things that we don't have completed or need to be completed, submitted in that response, so they have it from us. That's not the application itself, but they're doing some preliminary findings to see where everything's going to come in at. They don't have a date for that application release, but I got it set up in my email that I'll automatically get it when the application is released. And then me and Mindful Media can work on collaborating to get that built together and how we want to push that moving forward.
So did you include the Jim Whipple Memorial Railroad Bridge over 31?
I did not include that.
Okay.
It was a tunnel.
There was a tunnel.
Yeah.
Jim Whipple Express. No, I have. We'll see when that that study's
That
done.
might get the whole thing kicked right out.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So that's money. I didn't quite catch where that money's coming.
That's coming from the state as a grant. Now, is it a matching grant? Is it Nobody knows. They asked for the survey, do you have funds to match? I said minimal. So that's my response. I have minimal funds to match, but yet we have some big, tall tasks to work with.
Right.
So we're all kind of in a wait and see what that's going to look like.
That kind of is, the likelihood of something happening is probably small, right? But I mean, we have to chase the opportunity.
We have to chase it. I mean, there's 200 million to go around through the entire state, which when you factor in it cost, what was the math? It's 5 million to extend power of 1 mile. They're doing or 115 kV lines is what National Grid told me. I think one time we were looking at natural gas, having that extended 500 feet was 1 to 1.5 million. It's not cheap to do some of the stuff. So therefore, there's going to be very finite who gets it, how much, and who needs it. I know we need it. So.
Are we still marketing, going after that marketing grant?
Yeah.
For Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Those would be for smaller projects, but I think that's important that we,
Absolutely.
you know, we're not 500 employees, but it's in Canada, and that's where seems to be where our success is.
Right.
So that would allow us to pursue existing businesses in Canada that want to move here.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. Which I think is,
That's kind of our sweet spot.
yeah, it is.
It is.
That is. So,
I mean, I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't think there's anything we can hang our hat in. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good enough. Executive session, is there any topics for executive sessions? All right, any unfinished business? New business, discuss the board vacancies. We met this week, as we always do. We have a pre-meeting to this meeting, and I think, in my mind, this is certainly one of our top priorities because we're too short. One short, soon to be too short. So I think we have to at least move with some expediency to get one new board member. And what I would like to propose is that we set up a committee to interview Craig Toohey and see if he's someone that we would like to move forward with. So are there any volunteers for someone to be on that committee to do an interview, face-to-face interview with them? I'll set the meeting up in the next couple of weeks. I don't know.
That's why I think you should do the interview.
Yeah. Sean, are you available, Carol? I think you can help.
Yeah, I can help.
Okay. All right. I will set up. I will contact Craig. I have not spoken with him. Get a couple dates from him, and then we can set up a meeting. Is that something we can do Zoom wise, Kevin? If people can't attend?
Yes, well, it depends on how long that executive order is in place. We'll know more in about 4 or 5 days, John, but I would anticipate that we can do it by Zoom.
Okay.
I'll try to be present depending on the day.
Okay, yeah, I think it's important to have face-to-face contact,
Yeah.
body language, all those types of things. So what end of the day is better for you guys or any particular time?
It just happens. I just had a meeting pop up today that I have to go to. So I'm flexible, really.
Okay,
During the day, I can be flexible now during the summer.
okay. Yeah, I'd like to bring it to the next board meeting so that we have a candidate, or if there's anybody else that you would like to propose too. I mean, I'm not trying to ram this down anybody's throat. I just think that we need to be very aware of the situations because quorums could be kind of tight with 2 people missing. So, okay. Well,
Let me just ask this, and certainly nothing against Craig at all. Have we tapped into leadership or Lean's graduates to see if there are any individuals there?
No, but that's a very good point.
I mean, they're supposed to be, they've gone through the leadership program. They're leaders in a county, I'm just wondering, and I don't have a name, but I'm just wondering if that might be a source to tap into to look for individuals as well.
That's a very good point. I think I'll contact Ken Roller and talk to him as a starting point to see, because in my opinion, I'd like to see some new blood on the board, potentially younger, someone with a younger perspective. Someone that's living in the digital world compared to the analog world that most of us live in. So I will talk to him about it. And
Just an idea.
no, that's a very good idea. So I'll make a note of that. Okay, I'll set something up.
How about, do we think about like the areas of the county, you know, being represented? You know, for those who leave, you know, the corners of the county also, does that help, or just one idea?
Well, I don't think there's any restrictions. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
Kevin, right? But I'm of the mindset that we should have a good distribution from the county, whether it's business or someone from the ag world. And I'm also very sensitive to, I mean, I live in the town of Shelby and I grew up in Medina, so I'm very aware of not having everything gravitate to Medina. We have a park here, and I don't want people to say that's where our focus is. It's for the whole county, all markets. So that's my 2 cents. So Craig lives in Albion, I believe, right?
Yes.
And he works for the federal government for contracting. So he's got a good perspective on things. So, plus he worked here before too.
Right.
So, but I mean, that's why we have the interview to determine whether or not he's a good fit. So, okay. So we'll proceed on that basis. I'll set something up. I'm busy for the next week or so, but I'll get on it and be in contact with Carol and John. So, okay. Any additional discussion? No? Then I guess we will have adjourn the meeting. If there's a motion to adjourn for John, seconded by all those in favor. Aye. Motion approved. Meeting is ended.